Yo, so I guess it's official. Arise-heart is now in the game, as you can see on my screen here. Yeah, this card has been really heavily anticipated since it's been banned from the TCG especially, but it's been in Yu-Gi-Oh for a long time now. And now that it's mastered all, yeah, like I said here, I think it's going to be a tier 0 format that we're playing in. Originally, I really hated tier elements as a tier 0 format, but I think this one is going to be far worse, especially from what I've been following in the TCG, and well, the fact that it's banned now kind of speaks for itself. So this video is just to kind of showcase what cards I believe that Mathmech players may need to consider going forward for us to keep competing, just because if you didn't already know, this card is basically Macrocosmos or Dimension Shifter as soon as it's on. If it's just facing up, look, any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead. That is a huge problem for Mathmech. It's just, we need stuff sent to the graveyard as well as summoning from the graveyard, and yeah, it's just really tough. Going second against this type of deck, this is why we have to start implementing these type of cards. So without further ado, I'll go through them. But firstly, actually, I just want to address, I think it's really good that you should go and watch DK's video. He's done a fantastic job of a video. I think he's done a real big thing for the community, because if you didn't know about all the Kashtira combos, you should try and learn them from the video he set out. And he also has a section that talks about basically what cards you should negate and what cards you can kind of implement. I'm just bringing this from a standpoint of a Mathmech player, of which cards are more likely to be effective in our deck list and kind of tier front. But look, like I said, without further ado, I'll just go through them. First and foremost, Kurikara. This would be a great card because let's say they have, I forgot to add this in, let's say they have Shangri Ira on board, right? This is going to summon its, activate its effect in the standby phase, and then Arise-heart is also going to, well, you can bait this out. You can send something to the graveyard, and then it will attach it to itself as material. And then it's easy for Kurikara to just substitute them. It costs absolutely nothing. It's not an activated effect either. It's like a kaiju, it just tributes them. And the attack boost isn't really, much of a big deal to me, but the fact that you can just swap out these monsters is insane. And it's not an activated effect, so it won't trigger Fenrir, nor will it trigger Unicorn when it's summoned. So I think that's a huge bonus going in. Ash Blossom, this is just a staple, but the reason why I bring it up is because, like DK said, there's a good point here. You need to use it on Kashtira Theosis. Do not use it on Unicorn, because if they have Theosis or even Birth or both in hand and they just baited you with this, it's a completely wasted card, just because now they can just go into your extra deck and banish something like a key monster that you may need going into the combo, especially going second, and now they know what you're playing, and then they can prepare a little bit better going forward. And yeah, but that's the basis of it. The reason why you want to stop this is because this card is basically a one-card combo. And yeah, it's very tough to say the least, because if they have Unicorn and Kashtira Theosis, the endboard can be Arise-heart with Shangri Ira, and then either Fenrir or Unicorn on your next standby phase. So yeah, I would be very careful about that. But yeah, going into the next bit is the board breakers. You're going to know, you're going to recognize these board breakers. So one is the Kaiju. This is to tribute 1 monster. Lava Golem is to tribute 2. And then of course, Spear Mode Ra is to tribute 3. I'll do it in the order that they're kind of shown here. Now with Lava Golem, the thing is with summoning this, it presents 2 limitations on Mathmech players. Number 1 is you can't use your normal summon anymore. And if you open with cards like Diameter, Lady Debug, Nabla, or anything else that requires to be normal summoned for it to be effective or even activate its effect, well, Lava Golem kind of takes that away from you. And then additionally, if you go into Transcode Talker, you can no longer use its effect because you've special summoned a monster that was not Cyberse. And it's also vice versa. So if you try to like bait out all these interruptions, so you use your normal summon, or even you use Transcode Talker's effect, you can no longer use Lava Golem to tribute the monsters on the field. So if you do end up having normal summons and you have Lava Golem in hand, like make a calculated decision as to whether you're gonna, tribute the monsters and break the board, or if you're gonna, try and combo for game. But it's a really tough one. Ideally, I don't think Lava Golem is a good matchup in Mathmech. But anyway, with Kaijus, there are less limitations, of course. Like you tribute 1 monster only, no limitations to your normal summons or special summons. However, it does affect your Transcode Talker, so that is a limitation in itself. Again, all the Kaijus, none of them are Cyberse. Insects, Fiend, Aqua. I believe there's Thunder and Machine, and then even Insect again, and then Dinosaur. Yeah, so when any of these are summoned, again, can't use Transcode Talker's effect. And the reason why that's so big is because this card is quite key for link climbing. So if you want to go into Terahertz, or if you want to go into access code for game, this card is going to be pretty key for bringing back like a link 2 or link 3 monster that you have from the graveyard. So yeah, I think just be careful of these kind of cards. They're more like contingencies because ideally you don't want to special summon them so you can use them, but you want to use them on tower monsters like X Purely Noir or yeah, even Arise-heart so far. But then of course you've got Shangri Ira that you need to get out as well if your opponent goes first. So again, calculate decision, kind of take it upon yourself to judge as to which one you think is more likely going to come ahead. But I don't think Lava Golem is a good one, and Kaijus are a risk. And then Sphere Mode. So with Sphere Mode does not count as a special summon. It counts as your normal summon. So the limitation is you do not get your normal summon, but it doesn't affect Transcode's effect because it does not special summon. You're allowed to normal summon other, archetype monsters, other types of monsters even. So Divine Beast, you're allowed to summon them and it won't affect Transcode. It's if they're special summoned, then there's an issue. So I would be very careful there. But yeah, those are the board breakers. And the reason why I put Small World in there is just to kind of showcase that each of these cards are really, really easy to get to in the Mathmech line. This is already a very prevalent card in the Mathmech deck list. So yeah, I would I'm probably going to up my Small World if I decide to play one of these board breakers. But moving on to Nibiru. Nibiru is a huge card against Kashtira. Kashtira don't really play negate type cards. You might see an odd player here or there create Baron de Fleur, which is a very smart move. And DK spoke about a tactic about using Nightmare Ibli, but that's a very, very rare case that you're going to see that. I don't think a lot of players are really going to play into that. So I do think Nibiru is going to be a very strong card in this format. I've got it at 3, luckily. I don't know. I don't even remember crafting them, but I might play them 2 or 3 because they need to get their strongest endboard. They need to use minimum 5 summons anyway. So to clear the board would be amazing. And then you're pretty much solid from there. So yeah, Nibiru, going to be a big card. And so Change of Heart, I don't know if this card is really going to be that valuable. You can steal the Arise-heart and then maybe normal summon a card that you have and tribute it off into a link summon for like, a monster that requires just effect monsters. But or you can even use the effect yourself if it has material to like banish one of your opponent's cards face down. But I have to say it's a high risk, this card. I don't really see it panning out too well or being that useful, but I could be wrong. I need to play test all of this, but this is just what I think so far. But again, I'm going to play test all this just to kind of give a more calculated decision and more accurate later on. And I'll show replays as well, but going from there. Herald of the Abyss. So this card by itself is going to be a little bit risky because you're not going to be able to search for it. However, well, before you weren't able to search for it, but now with Triple Tactics Thrust, with what's the name of it? So Shangri Ira, when this card activates its effect in the standby phase, right? It doesn't say when a monster has to activate its effect. Just the fact that it does means that this card is now playable and you can search for Herald of the Abyss. And as you can see here, look, you declare 1 monster type and 1 attribute. If you want to get rid of Arise-heart, you go Machine and Dark, and then they have to send this to the graveyard. So it's even better than a Kaiju because your opponent has to do it. And at the end of the day, it even works on cards like X Purely Noir because it's an effect on the player, not the card itself. So it's that weird crack in like the lines or a weird loophole where now an invincible monster is no longer invincible. Like Rungo Nimiad, I think I'm saying that right. That card is literally invincible, but against Herald of the Abyss, because it affects the player, the opponent has to send it to the graveyard. So now that this is like a searchable card, I think it's going to be quite lethal. I think this will probably be the way I'll play the game, because if I open with this going second, then it's great. But if I don't open with it, but open with Triple Tactics Thrust, it's still really good because I can add this to my hand, and I think it's fantastic either way. Triple Tactics Talent, again, because this is a normal spell, you can literally, if you have this in hand, you can search it off this. So, by the way, everything I'm talking about is about playing against Kashtira in particular, not in a general sense. I think I just want to make that clear, just so that way the examples in your head should be just about Kashtira. So, ideally, in every situation, if you do open with this and they have Shangri Ira on board, you're going to be able to use this because they're activating that effect in the standby phase for absolute certain. Unless they know you have this, and then yeah, that's a whole different game state. But either way, look, this is searchable. I think it's a fantastic card. And then this is searchable, sorry, this is what we're talking about now. And it's also a fantastic card. You can draw 2 cards if you want, but I feel like taking control of a monster, so basically the effect of Change of Heart, is really good. Or if you're going first and they trigger anything, it's just good to look at your opponent's hand and, remove something that might be a key component. I'd probably go for Kashtira Theosis over cards like Unicorn, because if they summon Unicorn but you went first, ideally you already have your Super Factorial, your Signet Conflict set up, and you can just remove it from the board and, you know, go for the game. And the fact that you looked at their hand, you can check if they have anything like Call by the Grave or anything that's going to affect your graveyard. So just be very careful with that. And yeah, fantastic card. So I would play maybe one of each, maybe two of Thrust in case, not too sure. Now the Book of cards, I'll talk about them all three together. So I have to say Book of Moon is a really good card for using it on your opponent. You can use it on your card if it's about to be negated, let's say, because it kind of dodges that negation. However, in Mathmech, I don't think it's great because we use a lot of link climbing and your cards need to be face up to do so. So I do think it's not a very good card to use on your own monster. And the fact that it requires targeting sometimes can put you in a tough position. So I would be reluctant to have this. And I think the fact that it only targets one monster when this format is really going to have a focus on having Arise-heart on board, as well as Shangri Ira, and one more, lost the related cards, and either Fenrir or Unicorn on board. Ideally, you're going to want to get rid of all of them because this is going to banish one card face down. This is going to send anything that you send to the graveyard to banish instead. And then anything that does get banished, you're just going to get zone locked. And so if you didn't already tell, I'm leading up to the fact that I think Book of Eclipse is a much better card. It's non-targeting, firstly, and it means for every card on the board, every monster on board, sorry, it will go to flip face down. And why that's great for Mathmech is because I would save it either before your super factorial or after you've used the Omni Negate of your Laplation from the super factorial, because then it doesn't really matter if it goes face down because it's not really an issue. But the reason why it's great for the Mathmech deck is because we use a lot of link monsters, and as you can see, they don't have a defense stat, which means that they can't go into defense mode. And from there, if you didn't already tell, that just means that our monsters stay face up and we can continue comboing full game. We can just go access code, delete all their monsters, and don't forget their effects are no longer active. These are like face up active effects, not activated active. So if this is face down, all cards that go to the graveyard go to the graveyard. And if this is face down, it no longer has that ability of, you know, can't be destroyed by card effects, or it will just detach material for destruction by battle or card effect. Like, however, it's best explained, but you understand what I'm saying. If you try to destroy, it will just detach material. So, yeah, basically, when they're all face down, they lose those effects, and it's great. So I just put this in because it's an alternative version. If you play a type of deck that doesn't mind losing cards, and that's great, but for Mathmech, I don't think this is a very good card. I just wanted to showcase it in case someone felt like they would prefer this card for whatever reason. But personally, I would say Book of Eclipse is better. Just be warned that because of the drawing effect from this, your opponent can negate it with Ash, which is a staple negate in this staple hand trap in this game. So the likelihood of someone having it can be quite high. So, but again, look, it's a best of one format, so it is what it is. Like you play, and if you're lucky, you're lucky. If you're unlucky, you're unlucky. So like, what can you say? But yeah, like, you discard one card and then you target two face-up cards, which in some cases is better than Book of Moon, but this has 0 cost. It's just, you know, target one face-up monster and change it to defense position. But yeah, I would say Book of Eclipse is much better for me. But yeah, if you do choose to use Book of Moon, it's better going first, because as soon as your opponent summons a Kashtira monster, you can just flip it face down. It won't be faced up until their next turn, adverse to what Eclipse does, and then it loses its effects, and they can't special summon any more Kashtira monsters. Apart from Scareclaw, actually, I think you can, yeah, during your main phase quick, but this is an activated effect, so fingers crossed you have triple tactics thrust in hand, or maybe even talents in hand as well. So yeah, those are the Book of cards anyway. Enemy controller, so a lot of these players in the TCG were playing this card. I understand why. It's pretty decent. It has a little bit of a cost, so you do sacrifice a monster if you want to control your opponent's monster, and I believe you can use its effect if it's, yeah, this is a quick effect, so you can use Arise-heart's effect. It's quite effective, I suppose. I don't know if it can banish itself. That would be such a good effect if that's possible. But either way, if it can't banish itself, you can banish something else that your opponent controls, any card that's targetable, obviously. The other one is like targeting one face, change its battle position. Not sure if that's going to be that useful. I was considering playing this card before Arise-heart came out anyway, because a lot of branded players, a lot of Dragon Link players will special summon Bestials in the battle phase when you have access code and try and put it into defense position, and very, very irritating. So, or if I have Terahertz, it's even better, because I can just, you know, put them into a tap position and definitely get that, you know, powerhouse move for the game. But yeah, that's enemy controller. Not too sure on that. Evenly matched. So this is a fantastic card against Kashtira, because again, they don't play negate type cards. So unless they have something like cross out and they're playing evenly matched, or some kind of counter trap, this trap is going to destroy that board because everything is banished face down and it's an effect on the opponent, so they'll have to banish everything face down. Likelihood is they're going to keep either Shangri Ira on board, but more likely they're going to keep Arise-heart on board because of the above effect. The reason why I'm not so confident about evenly matched is because you lose that battle phase and you lose essentially a big chunk of your go. I suppose it's okay because essentially you're playing as if it's your first turn, but if they keep Arise-heart on board, it doesn't really add much value because we can't afford for cards to be in the graveyard, so it does put us in a very, very tough position. So unless you open with a Kaiju, Herald of the Abyss, as well as evenly matched, I do feel like you're in a very, very tough position because, yeah, it just doesn't really present too well, in my opinion. And then, of course, you've got Infinite Impermanence. This card it's just a staple hand trap, really. What else can you say? I would try and save it for when it is your turn if you're going second. And then obviously, if you're going first, then you set it down, even better. But, yeah, if you're going second and this is in your hand, I would wait till it's your turn because if they do summon out Arise-heart, you're going to want to use it on the Arise-heart and then, try and combo off the game because they're going to have Shangri Ira on board as well as very likely Fenrir because Fenrir is, banishing it. I think it's just one face-up card. Yeah, I think it's a bit stronger than Unicorn in some cases. When you have this card at endboard, yeah, I'd say it's stronger anyway. You can play Zeus, so this is going to be a big out for a lot of cards. Look, you can see it's limited to 1. So if you're going second and you activate a monster effect with Unicorn on board and they banish it, then having Zeus in your extra deck just feels like a wasted, slot filled. So, and in Mathmech, you play Laflation and Alan Bershon. It's not really likely that you're gonna trying to attack into maybe Shangri Ira or any defense position monster so it doesn't get destroyed, and then go into Zeus. It doesn't really add that value in my opinion. I think, and of course, if Arise-heart has material, it will just banish whatever cards you have because it's detached 3, it's a quick effect, and yeah, you've lost it. And then if they have Shangri Ira on board, it's even more chaos because they zone lock you. So yeah, I do think it's a risk playing Zeus, so I personally wouldn't. And then I was just showing Transcode Talker here just to showcase how Book of Eclipse will not affect us. But there is a new trap card out that it makes all monsters go into face down defense position, and anything that remains in face up attack position, which will be link monsters, will have to be sent to the graveyard. So that is something that Mathmech players will have to look out for. That is a really, really tough card to contend. So I'll probably continue to play Red Reboot because, yeah, Kashtira don't really play counter traps. I'm trying to think if they do, but they really don't. So in the likelihood that they have any trap, even their Big Bang trap is quite irritating because look, if they control a Kashtira Xyz monster on the field, and a player controls 2 or more monsters, they must banish monsters face down, so you will not be able to interact with them afterwards until they control 1 monster. That really, really messes with the Mathmech play line because, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, they'll probably keep Arise-heart, and if it has material, it will just banish the 1 card that you were able to control anyway. So, yeah, it does put us in this is a tier 0 format. Like, well, what can you expect? I'm just trying to bring more preparation type cards that we can sort of implement. But look, as a conclusion, Kurikara is something I'm going to be playing, definitely going first, because I can search for it off Small World, and like I said, Shangri Ira is definitely going to activate its effect, as well as Arise-heart. That's very likely to activate its effect. And you can even, you can even bait it out. So if you use maybe Impermanence on the Unicorn or Fenrir that they summon, and then once it goes to the graveyard, it gets attached to Arise-heart as material, and then Kurikara will just substitute Shangri Ira and Arise-heart for free. Literally no cost whatsoever. Now you have a monster on board that has a decent attack, but I think it'll go to 4,500. Just bear in mind, you are special summoning this, and it is not a Cyburst monster. So again, I keep saying it over and over again, but I hope it kind of sticks. You won't be able to use Transcode Talker's effect to resummon in Link Climb as easily. So just keep that in mind. So yeah, Kurikara is something I'm going to play. Nibiru probably going to play. Triple Tactics, definitely going to play. Probably have to make another one of these. And then Herald of the Abyss. And then, of course, Book of Eclipse. I was playing this at the beginning of the season, and it was working really, really well against Purely and decks like Sprite, which have the Gishki cards now, so you'll probably see that going around a little bit. But the main one is Kashtira. You're going to see that everywhere. It's a tier 0 format we're in. I don't know if people are aware. Yeah, it's a tier 0 format, so it's going to be a very, very rough rest of the season. And I think that's one of the main reasons I tried to reach Master 1 before, just so I can just have a relaxing end of the month. And then, yeah, next month is going to be very, very painful I have to say. But I'm going to get some clips out there soon, kind of showcase how these cards work, and yeah, I'll just post it around. We can kind of have a little commentary and walk through it together. But that's everything. If you have any questions, please just shoot them below. If you have any other suggestions, I'm all ears, because I would love nothing more than to learn more cards to help me out in this format. So yeah, but anyway, thank you so much for watching, and take care. Bye.